So you can get through a solo, but it's starting to feel like it's the same licks over and over again. Like if you play trading fours, or maybe if you play a one chorus solo, then that'll be fine. You can make it through that. But any longer than that, it starts to sound like the same thing, and you're kind of wondering like, are my bandmates gonna notice that I'm just playing the same phrases over and over again? I get it. Like at this phase, you don't want to just make it. You don't want to just get by with your soloing. You want to be expressive. You want to play something that means something. You want to say something with your soloing and have the people who are listening to you actually feel something. This is totally normal at the stage you're at where you're actually getting through this stuff. You just need to start thinking about something I call big phrasing. So what is big phrasing? To tell you that, we should talk about what is little phrasing, okay? Little phrasing is like, you know, the accents and the time feel. It's all these little things that are almost like if you're speaking Spanish, it's like your accent that makes it sound like you're a native speaker, okay? That stuff you work on by practicing melodies. Medium phrasing is what you probably just learned, which is what does a 4-bar phrase feel like? What does an 8-bar phrase feel like? What does a 32-bar phrase feel like? How do I keep track of the form of all the things you are while I'm soloing? Something like that. And medium phrasing really helps you to get through a solo, but once you get past those two things, you really need to graduate to what I call big phrasing. Big phrasing is over the course of 3 choruses, how do I shape this whole solo so that it means something? Another way to say big phrasing is just storytelling. How do I create an arc, something that's musical? If I was Beethoven, how would I shape this solo? Okay? And to develop this skill, you really have to be intentional about how you're practicing. We're not just practicing just to get through a solo anymore. We have to practice by intentionally giving ourselves restrictions that are going to make it so that we can shape our solo and we don't just go to the same old muscle memory licks that we play all the time. So, how do we do this? I was doing this with one of my students the other day, and the way we achieve this is by giving each chorus a certain restriction to play within, okay? So for the first chorus, let's say we're soloing over a tune like Solar, right? For the first chorus, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to play it almost like it was a ballad. I'm going to try to play it melodically. I'm going to try to leave space. I'm going to try to stretch things out. I'm going to make it very simple. I'm going to try to use repetition. And that'll give me a good foundation that I can build from, okay? So check this out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that was one chorus over Solar. Now, was that the fanciest thing ever? No. Was it musical? Yes. I developed one theme. I took it all the way. Think of like Beethoven. Da 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 da, and then it just keeps going. Da 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 da. Right? That's how you make music. You got to take a theme and develop it. Right? So that's what I did. I played a phrase, left some space, played it again. It's almost like I'm composing my own song. That's what we're doing when we're improvising. Okay? Now, obviously, that's not everything I can play. I spent all these years figuring out all this vocabulary from Philly Joe Jones and Max Roach and Tony Williams and Bill Stewart and Brian Blade, right? I want to be able to use that stuff. But I'm going to save it for the second chorus. And that's what the second chorus we're going to practice here is where I use vocabulary, but with space, with intention. This is a trap that I see a lot of drummers fall into, is when you learn an idea and you can finally get through the trading fours, you just kind of ram it in there. You're just like, oops, I know how to use this. Let me just and just use it over and over again without thinking like, how can I use this really subtly? It's almost like in language, if you learn a new word and then you start shoving it into every sentence rather than just waiting for the perfect moment for it to be used, okay? So that's what I'm going to do for this second chorus. My restriction is going to be vocabulary with intention or with space, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. You can see that these are building upon each other. The very first one, very simple, very melodic. The second one, I'm using a bit more of my vocabulary. There's still some space in there. It's not big, wide open spaces, but you can see the energy is building up. And by the way, if you're thinking, okay, play the second chorus vocabulary, or like, I don't even have any vocabulary, right? Or you're thinking, okay, the first chorus, you know, play melodically, and you're thinking, I don't even know how to play melodically. I don't know any tunes, I don't know solar. Then, yeah, totally. This video is just about big phrasing. You're gonna need all of those things. To be a complete jazz drummer, you need tunes, phrasing, vocabulary, technique. You gotta go to jam sessions, you gotta know how to get gigs, and that's what I work on with my students. So if you're interested in becoming a private student, click the link in the description. You'll find a calendar. You can reach out, book a call with me, see if it's a good fit. Or you can check out my free jazz drumming course. Both of those links are in the description. Now for the third chorus, the limitation that I'm gonna give myself is to play continuously with no rests, okay? So no white space. It can be eighth notes, it can be triplets, it can be 16th notes. I can shift between them, but I cannot leave any space, okay? So let's go ahead and give this a try. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Cool. Is that the most musical way to play? Maybe, maybe not. Am I gonna play like that all the time? No, not necessarily. But I need to have that gear, right? A big part of big phrasing is being able to shift between something simple and going all the way up to something very intense. And these are just some of the tools that we can use to do that. Playing a whole solo where we never leave any in space is very intense. And I wanna be able to go there if the situation calls for it, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pretend that I'm playing a 3-chorus solo, maybe live at a gig or a jam session, and I'm gonna try to play the first chorus, simple, melodic, like a ballad, develop themes. Second chorus, vocabulary, but with some rest in there. Third chorus, no gaps, okay? And what we should hear is the big phrasing. It's that storytelling where gradually over the course of 3 choruses, it gets more and more intense, all right? Let's give it a go. Cool, so I made it through. Now, if you practice that and you really give yourself the strict limitation of sticking to those principles, what it's going to do is it's going to sharpen your ability to think of big phrasing, to think of where is this solo going rather than like, can I just make it through to the next bar, or is this lick good enough, right? Or anything like that. So if you found this video interesting, I hope you'll check out the next video that's recommended right here. I'll see you later.